number 2 is introduction to BJT. In this, we are going to cover very briefly about history of vacuum tubes, then something about invention of bipolar junction transistor. Then we will discuss, as already told to you, that whenever we discuss new device, we always look for its definition, construction, and other aspects. So once your construction is over, we will be discussing about BJT working and characteristics, then how BJT is being biased, then last but not the least is BJT applications. So in this module, we will be covering some of the topics today and then in the coming days. So this is a vacuum tube. So although it is being used extensively in all the electronic devices prior to World War II, but there are certain problems that are associated with your vacuum tubes. So these problems are bulky. Bulky means they are very big in size. So because of that, you are not able to get any portable products. If you are fortunate enough, you might have seen a big radio in your at your ancestral home. So that consists of vacuum tubes, and also old televisions were also using some of them. So because of that, your systems are bulky. So they are not being used. So, and as far as your World War is being concerned, then entire focus is being on that you can get a devices which are very, very small in area and occupies less space. The reason for that is in war, we need to carry them to different locations. So if they are bulky, then you need more transportation, much more time is required, energy is required. So that's why vacuum tubes are being discarded, not completely, partially. Still, they are being used in some of the locations where high power applications are there. But at most of the applications, your vacuum tubes are being used. Okay, now the next thing that is of concern is higher operating voltages are required. So when you are moving to a particular war type scenario, then it's not possible to carry diesel generator sets and all. So in that locations, it is very difficult to get your electronic product operable. So that's another issue with your vacuum tube, that higher operating voltages are required. So for the power supply, you need generators and all. So that's not possible. So the problem is that we cannot use them in military scenario extensively. Then third is higher power consumption. Vacuum tubes have higher power consumptions. They need heater supply that generates waste heat, yields lower efficiency, and notably for small signal circuits. That means when we are working with a signals having amplitudes of your 20 millivolts or microvolts, then noise is there, and because of that noise, your signal will not work properly. So then vacuum tubes need to be replaced with their better alternatives. Now vacuum tubes are having covered in a glass tubes, so they are fragile. So transistors are of metal or ceramics, so they can be more robust as compared to your vacuum tubes. Then last is cathode electron emitting materials are used up in operation. So we are basically using some metals inside your vacuum tubes. So when you have a continuous operation of a particular device, then what happens? Some of the metal is being consumed, and the characteristics as they were earlier were not the same after long period of operation. So this particular term is called aging effect. Aging effect. Just like when my students prepare for your competitive exams after 10th, so they consume their entire mind, and after that they don't think that they will be having enough time to studies. So that is called aging effect. That means you will get your things being consumed, but that's not with the brain. The more you use, the more better it becomes. So this is called aging effect. Okay. So another issue with your vacuum tubes is higher cost than equivalently power transistors. So these are the some of the issues, and the major issue is after World War II. Those who are interested in stories better know that information is one of the criteria on which future wars will be dependent. So they look forward that how they can make things small, portable, so that they can be used in wars. So they find that vacuum tubes cannot be used. So then they start looking for some alternative for vacuum tubes. So alternative to vacuum tube means invention of BJT is there. So it is being uh, invented in 1947. So earlier, these people, the first transistor is of using germanium, Bratin, and Bardin. So they point contact transistor. So they made it from simple gold foil on a plastic triangle, pushed down into contact with a slab of germanium. So this is one earlier transistor that is being discovered in 1947, invented in 1947. And then later on, they make one more transistor. So initial transistors looks like this. Now transistors are somewhat different. I will show you the real transistor when we will working with lab work. But right now, this is the prototype being used. So the one transistor in 1947 is contact transistor. This is your junction transistor. So it was invented in 1949 at Bell Laboratories. So this is the one of the best laboratories as far as your resources are being concerned. And first transistor with diffused PN junctions by William Shockley. So he is the inventor of this particular transistor. So they make a transistor called junction transistor, and this transistor were more easy and practical to fabricate. Then junction transistor become the central device of the central electronic age. So they replaced vacuum tubes, and then they are at the center stage. So always engineering is about finding disadvantages and looking forward to eliminate those disadvantages, or if possible maybe looking for a better alternative. So that is engineering all about. So now we have one type of semiconductor, P type, then have N type, then have P type. So earlier we discussed about PN junctions. Now this is PNP junctions, but their junctions are almost equal. But here we have sandwiched a small junction inside two similar junctions. So the first kind of transistors is of germanium, and later things getting better and better, and you're getting such kind of transistors. So this is your bipolar junction transistors. So junctions are there, these two junctions are there, PN, that means one junction is there, then NP, one junction is there. So for simplicity I will be showing you this picture. This is your crystal. Here you are having a P, then you are having N, and then you are having P. So here you can see one junction is at this point, another junction is at this point. So why it is called bipolar? because in this particular transistor, two polarities are being involved. Electrons will also do some work, your holes will also do some work. And so both are the particles carriers are having some sort of things to participate. Okay. So that's a little bit about invention of BJT, that they are being invented under certain conditions, but things get better and better. So that story we will discuss sometimes later. But being a student, you should not directly study BJT. You should study why BJT. So initially vacuum tubes were there, and later on, to get rid of some of the disadvantages, BJT is the alternative. So now we will be coming towards BJT, introduction, definition, and construction in detail. So this is the part of the course. This is not of the part of the course, but you should know. Every time you study a device, any system, you should have some understanding about the history, why that particular thing is there. So this is now your BJT, bipolar junction transistor. So here uh, you are having three different materials: N type, P type, and N type. So your BJT, bipolar junction transistor, can be of two types. It can be NPN and it can be of PNP. So it does not matter. Both are working differently, but now I will discuss them one by one. Now, what are the various terminals? So here you are having emitter. One terminal is emitter. Then you are having a base. So emitter is being denoted by E. Your base is denoted by B. Then your collector, it is being denoted by C. And then you are having three different contacts. One at emitter, another at base, and another at collector. In between, you are having three different regions. This is contact to the external world, out of circuit. This is internal thing. So what is inside BJT? You are having a emitter region, you are having a base region, you are having a collector region. So once again, I am repeating the entire sequence. You are having a emitter, base, and collector. So they are being connected to the external world with the help of metal contacts. Then you are having three different regions: emitter region, base region, and collector region. So they are internal to your BJT. Then at the interface, because N and P type are joined together, so there is a formation of junction. This is called emitter base junction. The next thing is you are having a base and collector region uh, interacting with each other. So there you get your collector base junction formation. So here you are having collector base junction formation. So this is the definition: a thin piece of semiconductor of one type between two slices of another type. So a thin piece. I will exactly discuss why this is thin, why they are thicker in the coming slides, but right now it's the definition. So it says that a thin piece of semiconductor of one type means either P or N type, and it is being in between two slices of another type. So here N type and N type. So it is able to control the flow of current between the emitter and collector. So I will discuss how it will be controlling the flow of current between emitter and collector in the coming slides. Then even if the input current is weak, the transistor can control a strong current. So that can be discussed later on in the coming slides. Then effect accomplished is that the current through the collector mimics and amplify the behavior of the current through the emitter. So the effect accomplished is that current through the collector mimics the behavior of the current through the emitter. So these points need to be discussed in the coming slides. That means whatever you are getting the current from the emitter will be received at the collector, but base will have a some good control over the current. So how it will control, that we will be discussed in the coming slides. So here you can see NPN, this particular BJT is called NPN, and other type is PNP. So three terminals are there. One terminal is emitter, another is base, another is collector. Then two junctions are there, emitter base junction, collector base junction. So this is emitter base junction, this is collector base junctions. So depending upon the biasing across each of the junctions, different modes of operation are there. Because this is N type, P type, so it can be forward bias. This is PN type, it can be forward bias or reverse bias. So it depends upon how they are actually operating. So they are having three different regions of operation, just like your PN junction. They can be cut off, they can be active, they can be saturation. So what is the definition of BJT? So BJT is a three-terminal two-junction device which can be used to control the behavior of the current from emitter to collector using base. So that is the just definition. And it can be operated in three regions of operation: cutoff, active, and saturation. So now here you can see your two types of transistors are NPN and PNP. So here you can see this is emitter, this is base. So emitter is P type, so positive, positive. Your base is negative, negative, negative. So positive repels positive, negative repels negative. So that means they are forward bias. On the other hand, this is reverse bias. On the other hand, this is reverse bias. This is reverse bias. Positive, negative, negative, positive. So PNP with emitter base junction forward bias and collector base junction reverse biased. Similarly, this is NPN. So with emitter base junction forward bias and collector base junction reverse bias. Collector base junction reverse bias. So this is the entire thing about this particular system. We will be discussing about this in detail. Till now, what we have discussed? We have discussed about history of vacuum tube, history of your transistor invention. Then here we have discussed that your transistor is a three-terminal device and having two junctions. It can be of two types, PNP or NPN, and one terminal is forward bias, another is reverse bias. So we were discussing about BJT and its various aspects, and we have discussed about some of the very basic things about BJT, its terminals, its junctions, what are various types of BJTs and all. Now we will get into some detail. So some of you might be asking, what is this? So it is 0.150 inches. So that's the width of the BJT, and your base is having a very small dimensions, that is 0.001 inch. So what is the difference between this particular transistor and the vacuum tubes and all? So this is the difference, that we are putting a very small semiconductor slice in between two similar semiconductors. So it's basically sandwiching this particular semiconductor here. So this particular thing or approach is having a very different approach in terms of working and all. So that we are discussing now in the coming slides. So all of you are aware of PN junction. So this is your PN junction. So when your applied voltage is greater than zero, that means it is forward biased, so positive on P and negative on N. Then what happens? This depletion width reduces, and also your built-in potential reduces. That means potential like this, and this is P, this is N. So energy required to this is called built-in potential. So it reduces when we apply potential greater than zero. So this allows holes to jump over barrier into n region as minority carriers. So similarly, when your applied voltage is less than zero, it means it is reverse biased. That means positive on n and negative on p. So remove holes and electrons away from depletion region. So because of that, what happens? Your depletion width increases, and this built-in potential also increases. So it becomes very difficult for electrons to jump from here to here and so on. So that's the basic thing. So here you can see when it is forward bias, your electrons move to this side, your holes move to this side. So thus current is there, and here you can see your characteristics are like that. So here you are having some threshold, and after that your characteristics are like that. Similarly, when you focus on reverse bias thing, here you can see your holes will be moving towards this side, electrons will be on this side, opposite to the previous case. So here you can see very few number of carriers move across the junction. So very small movement is there. And here you can find out at a particular point a phenomena is there. I have already given this is assignment. Two phenomena are there. One is avalanche breakdown. So I request all of you to do this. I will ask you tomorrow. One is avalanche breakdown, another is Zener breakdown. So this is avalanche breakdown after this point. This is called knee voltage and so on. So this is the just the phenomena where you are having P and NP junctions. So forward and reverse bias respectively. Now your NPN or PNPN transistors can be thought of as combination of PN and NP junctions. So here you can see these are two junctions. So what we are actually doing, we are looking forward to combine these two by fusing their terminals. So here you can see this is P, this is N, this is NP. So what we are doing, we are actually having this junction forward bias, this junction reverse bias. So we are combining them. So here you can see we are combining them. So it becomes a PNP transistor. So now this junction is forward biased, this junction is reverse biased. So here depletion width is less, here depletion width is more. So less depletion width means less resistance, and more depletion width means more resistance. So this resistance is R on the higher side, this resistance is R small r, this is on the lower side. So here you can see holes from P region emitter. This is basically now this is emitter, this is base, this is collector. So holes from the P region of first PN junction, because this forward bias, now holes will be pushed into the base. So holes from the P region of first PN junction driven by forward bias of first PN junction into the central region base. So here what happens when you're actually applying forward bias? So holes will be pushed into the base. Holes will be pushed into the base. But base is smaller in size as compared to emitter. And because of that, what happens? More number of holes, because holes are majority carriers here, and they are become minority carriers in base. So what happens? Some of the holes will be recombined, while most of the holes under the influence of this, because now this is reverse
Sir,
bias.
could you
Yeah.
repeat this point?
In P type semiconductor, holes are majority carriers. Here, electrons are majority carriers. Here, holes are majority carriers. Now, when you forward bias PN junction, just focus on this area. What happens? Holes will be pushed into the base. And we already know that emitter is larger in size as compared to base. So that means more number of holes will be pushed into the base. So in base, what will happen? Whenever holes comes into N-type material, there will be recombination, but your base is having small size as compared to emitter. So very few of the holes will recombine while most of them remains uncovered. Now here you are having this junction reverse biased. So that means negative potential is there. So they will attract all the holes towards collector. So that means whatever you have emitted from here, suppose you have emitted 100 and in base combination, recombination is 2. So at this particular point, 98 will reach. 98 will reach at the collector. So very few recombination is there that at the base. The exact things will be discussed later on. But right now, the function of emitter, base and collector is clear. In emitter, carriers will be generated. In base, recombination is there. In collector, all the carriers which are being emitted by the emitter will be collected. That is the entire thing about BJT and how it helps us to get a better functionality. That will be discussed in the coming slides. So now these are your holes coming to the base. Once again, I'm showing you. These are the holes. Just pay your attention here. Now they will move towards the base. And now you are having reverse bias being applied on the second junction. So these holes will be attracted to the this particular thing, being the collector. Now first region is forward bias, second region is reverse bias. So if you want to worry about holes alone, need P plus on the first region. For holes to be removed by the collector, base region must be thin. That means base region should be thin and emitter should have enough number of holes. So that means doping is on the higher side. So it is P plus. So that we have more number of holes in the emitter. And emitter function is to emit the holes. Base just recombines few of them and collector is to accept most of them. So whatever you have emitted, some of them get recombined at the base, but most of them will be collected at the collector. Right now, things are not clear that why we are doing this entire exercise. We are emitting 100, we are getting some being collected at the base, and also we are getting them collected at the collector. So what is the purpose of this? So these things will be clear in the coming classes. So this is your bipolar junction transistor. So it is having three terminals, collector, base and emitter, NPN and PNP, collector, base and emitter. This is the symbol of your BJT. This is the symbol of BJT. So if you want to draw it like this, then your transistor is like this. And now this arrow should be there. So I will be discussing why this arrow is like this. So here you can focus. This is P, this is N. Now electrons will move from N to P and holes will move from P to N. So we know that direction of current is from holes to electrons, from P to N. So because of that, your arrow is like this. Because of that, your arrow is like this. Okay. So here you will find out different currents.
तो यहाँ
So
पर फॉरवर्ड बायस होगा.
don't talk about forward bias or reverse bias right now. It's just about your device, how device is actually being defined. That we will discuss
Okay.
later on. Okay, just focus things on there. Okay, so now your electrons move from N type. Some of them will be combined at the base. Okay, and then rest of them at the collector. That's the entire set of sequences. But current is opposite. Some current will be in this direction, NP. Then base is positive, so some current will be base and all of the current is IE. So this is the exact expression. IE is equal to IB plus IC. This is the entire sequence. IE is equal to IB plus IC. That means number of electrons is equal to number of holes in the N type. So IE is this. Then your electrons will be absorbed at this. So this is being base current and then being collected at the collectors. So this is the entire sequence, that your emitter current is equal to base current plus collector current. And what about this arrow is that this is your PN junction, NP. Now electrons will move from this direction to this direction, and we know that the direction of current is opposite to the flow of electrons. So your current direction is like this. So here you can see NP is your direction of flow of electrons. So what will be the flow of current? Flow of current will be from P to N. So that's why this arrow is there. Now when you look at the PNP, your flow of holes will be from P to N. So that's why your arrow is like that. So when you are having symbols of NPN and PNP transistors, the only difference is arrow. You can clearly see this arrow is from base to emitter, and this is from emitter to base. Okay. So they have, although they have mentioned some conditions, right now it is not required that your base emitter voltage should be greater than zero, collector emitter should be greater than zero. That is not required right now, but it is being given here. So the important thing is that your emitter current is equal to base current plus collector current. Here you can see current is coming here, current is coming from here, and they are being totaled in the form of IE. Here current is going from this particular terminal, and some current gets into base while rest of the current will move to the collector. But overall current is IE is equal to IB plus IC. So this you already know. This is called KCL, Kirchhoff's current law. That at a node, suppose this is a node, then current entering to the terminal is equal to the current leaving the terminal. That's all. Okay. So this is again the same thing, definition. Once again, I'm covering this for a better understanding that it is a one thin layer of P type sandwiched between two layers of N type. So N type of emitter more heavily doped than collector. So emitter is heavily doped as compared to collector, and collector is heavily doped as compared to base. This is the entire sequence. And as far as area is being concerned, so largest area is of collector, then your emitter and your base. So please note down these things, that as far as doping is being concerned, emitter is heavily doped, collector is moderately doped, and base is lightly doped. And as far as your area is being concerned, collector is having the largest area, emitter intermediate, and base is having the least area. Okay, why least area? Because less recombination is to be there. Otherwise what happens, whatever being emitted is recombined at base, so less amount of recombination is to be there.
सर
Now,
एक्सक्यूज सर
yes, yes,
सर जो इससे ऊपर वाला पॉइंट था एक बार फिर से बताओ
which
E
one?
is greater than C is sir E is greater than C is greater than B
Doping emitter is heavily doped. We want more number of particles from emitter, so what happens, they are heavily doped, collector is lightly doped, and base is लेस लाइटली डोप्ड. सो सबसे ज्यादा डोपिंग हम किसकी करेंगे, एमीटर की करेंगे, देन इंटरमीडिएटली कलेक्टर की करेंगे. तो सबसे लाइटली डोप्ड होता है बेस, बिकॉज अगर आप डोपिंग ज्यादा कर देंगे बेस की, व्हाट विल हैपन, all the things will be combined at the emitter and nothing to be collected by the collector. So we want very few recombinations at the base. So that's why base is lightly doped. Now area is being concerned, collector is having the maximum area. Why? Because particles from emitter will be collected at the collector and more heat is being generated. So to dissipate heat, more area is to be there. So that's why collector is having the largest area, emitter is having intermediate area. Okay, then base is having the smallest area. Okay. So then base emitter junction will be forward biased, base collector will be the reverse biased, that you already know. Electron diffuse from emitter to base. Then depletion on the base collection junction, no flow of electrons is allowed. So base collector junction, this is base, this is collector. So no flow of electrons is allowed between this. because only minority carriers are being allowed. Here it is being given base is thin and emitter is heavily doped. Electrons have enough momentum to cross the base to collector. So this is being reverse biased. So reverse bias will have this particles to move from this to this. So that we will discuss in tomorrow's class. The small base current controls the large collector current. That I will also discuss tomorrow. But today's main purpose is that you should know what transistor is, what are the various types of transistors, what are its terminals, and how they are doped, about something about their areas and all. Okay. So these are the equations being involved. So this is base emitter voltage. So VVE. So VVE means VV minus VE. This is collector emitter voltage. So collector minus emitter. And this expression we will be discussing tomorrow. And this all you already know that emitter current is equal to collector current plus base current. So that's
Excuse
all
me, sir.
for today.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
सर जो इलेक्ट्रॉन्स का डिफ्यूजन होता है सर, वो
Yes.
रिवर्स बाइस के अंदर होता है ना?
Diffusion.
होल सर, होल्स और इलेक्ट्रॉन्स आपस में मिक्स हो जाते हैं, मतलब जो होल्स है वो इलेक्ट्रॉन, वो जैसे जो एन से पी, जो जो होल्स है वो पी में चला जाएगा और पी में जो है वो एन में चला जाएगा इलेक्ट्रॉन से। तो पिछली
That is
स्लाइड में आपने
that is under the effect of electric field. No
रिवर्स
diffusion.
बाइस पे नहीं होता सर वैसा?
That is because of drift. Okay. In
यस
reverse
सर,
bias, it is there, but because of minority carriers, not majority carriers.
ओके
Okay.
सर,
Okay. So that we will discuss tomorrow. Don't worry about that. Working we will be discussing tomorrow. BJT working will be discussed in detail tomorrow. Okay. So tomorrow we are having lab. We will be discussing it day after tomorrow. Okay. So if you have any doubt, we can discuss. Otherwise, today's class is over.